They like to believe, so they tell themselves lies.
That's true. That's it.
Are we
People like to
recording now?
believe. Yeah, because we've been talking and talking, and I got to
Okay.
record something because we're going to upload
Well, you
something.
should have said
So
action.
no, don't worry about it because the heat of the conversation is basically this is our Miscellaneous and Brown post election, because this was the last episode that I left you was with Charmaine, and so I thought that we could get our reaction, a reaction, to a brown person who can be assumed an immigrant or whatever, and then you have a member of the LGBTQ community and also a Filipina. And so I want to ask you, just your blunt reaction to what's happened, what's transpired in our country, and how you feel right now.
People that had one Trump flag out now have 5, 6 flags out. They're much more brazen with because we won mentality. But also, the whole country felt that way. Why do you think we stick to New York and California? Like, obviously.
Well,
I just saw a story.
but
You know
also
what I
I
mean?
think,
Like, I'm just.
you see, you also got to look at, like, for me, I was going to start when we were talking, and that's why I started recording, was we have to look at the history of how we got here. Okay. We have to look at each
How did we get
other,
here?
all the other presidential elections, because you have to think
Yeah,
about
yeah,
how
yeah.
the working class people, and how, those
You
Latinos
know
who
what it
left in
breaks down? You know
droves.
what it No, but you know what it breaks down to? And there's a lot of Asians that feel the same way too.
Yeah.
And I get it because they came. I get it. I don't agree. I'm not that. That's not how I was raised or where I came from. But they came here. They sacrificed everything. They got all this stuff. And this guy's saying, now we're going to give it away for free. And you had to work for yours. We're actually going to give them some of yours too. Now all that stuff that you did, we're gonna let you keep it. He's saying we're gonna let you keep it. We don't You know what I mean? Like we're not giving this stuff away for free, and people aren't gonna come in here and da da da. Like he's breaking
But the
up the whole
problem with
entire
that
kumbaya.
is the actual factual history of what happens. And so what happens is
Right.
this: in 2004, we were talking about it. The first thing I remember I talked about this. Okay, when we were talking earlier, 2004, I felt the same way. The Republicans, and they've taken over. George Bush was running an illegal war about over false pretenses, and people were dying so that we could have cheaper gas prices. I remember the dude in line with me in 2004, when I was waiting in line to vote in 2004, was telling me, I understand that it's a bullshit war and the whole thing, and there's no WMDs, but you know what? I like cheap gas. People are going to vote for what personally affects them.
But what about the
And they're going to
kids?
vote selfishly.
The kids are voting that way?
Because the kids who you got to remember, the kids, they blame Biden because they had to go to prom on Zoom. They blame
You
Biden
know,
because what Trump was able to do, he was able to harness the anger from the pandemic that he exacerbated and caused and told us to inject bleach. But he was able to harness that anger and say, these are the people that put the people that helped fix it, and to help the people that actually saved us from the pandemic and
right.
brought our economy back. These are the people that made your life this way.
But okay, so this is what they made our life this way now, right? Let's have a little foresight. Let's see. This system's always been a busted system
Oh
built on the
yeah.
backs of everybody that no one ever got to go up. They give us a little bit of a piece and more and more and more, and you think you're getting up somewhere, but you could never, because the ceiling is glass. You see right through it and you see them and you don't see you. And there's a lot of that. So what happens now is he comes in here and it's like, well, the Republicans and the Democrats are mad because they basically have a thing going back and
Yeah.
forth. Like, if you're in there, you play ball. If I'm in there, we play ball. We keep each other happy. Everything's cool. Donald Trump's like, nah, F this. And now it's like, what if he actually breaks down the system?
Well, see, now this is what I'm saying.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's over exploiting it. And I think it's going to work for him. I don't know that that's going to break.
Here's what's going to happen.
But what if the best case scenario is everything evens out after this, because everyone's upset and everyone's fueled and everyone has a reason, because it's now in your face all the time.
Charmaine, here's what I'm going to say. And please listen first. Wait, stop, because I'm keep trying to bring up this point about 2004. Okay.
Oh,
because
okay, go
we
ahead.
were here before. We've been here
Yeah,
before.
yeah,
Republicans have run our country into the ground before. They've overreached before. Remember gay marriage? Remember gay
yeah,
marriage? He ran
yeah,
against gay marriage in 2004. And how is gay marriage now?
yeah.
How is gay marriage now? What is it now?
Everyone's getting married. Everyone's getting married.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not
What
getting married,
happens
but
when you
everyone's
take
getting married.
freedoms away? Even abortion. They got it. The dog that's been running
Yeah,
to catch
yeah,
and legalize abortion, they
yeah,
caught it. But what happened in all
yeah.
the abortion initiatives? Because Trump says we're going to leave it to the states, right? What happened in all the abortion initiatives?
All the
67%.
states.
They all
Yeah,
ratified it
but
except for Florida because
right.
fuck Florida.
But I'm trying.
Wait. Let me finish. Let me finish. Okay,
Okay.
we've been here before. Trump's gonna
Yeah,
overreach, but what we
yeah,
have to do now, as Filipino
yeah,
Americans, is
yeah.
figure out what our place is in because there are some of us who are on DACA who are gonna get deported.
There's a
Jose
lot of us that are on
Jose Antonio
DACA.
Vargas was just on MSNBC talking about how he's scared for his students. He's scared for himself. Okay.
Yeah,
We have a lot of our
yeah.
people in our community who voted for something that they don't realize that they're going to break up some parts of our families. They're going to get deported. People who you petition to get here are not going to get here anymore. You know,
Yeah,
the things that the reason you're
yeah,
Republican in
yeah,
the first place
yeah.
because Reagan gave us amnesty. These Republicans will never, ever,
Right, right.
ever give you amnesty.
Yeah.
Okay, you have to understand
Well,
the
because there's
history of this
also less of
country.
them. Because there's less of them than there are of us
That's what
now.
they're
It's
scared
becoming
of.
less and less of them. And that's why they're acting, because now they have a scarcity mindset, which is
Here,
exactly what this is,
this is exactly
which is how people are with food and everything else. But that's how they're
here.
acting.
Now, here's Eddie Hong. Eddie Hong, the guy who wrote Fresh Off the Boat. Okay, fresh. You know
Yeah.
that
Oh,
show,
that
Fresh Off
clip.
the
Yeah,
Boat.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I saw that clip too with that
I
guy. But
posted that
yeah,
clip, and the guy that
yeah.
look on my Instagram
Insert
if you
clip
want.
right here. Insert clip
You
right
know,
here
I
somewhere.
can. I'm not going to insert it. You guys can just go to the Instagram. But when he talked, the white guy, the older white gentleman, talked about it, and he said, "This is the
Yeah.
disassociation of the white race to America
Yeah.
and and
Yeah.
a power structure that we're used to,
Yeah.
and we're gonna
Yeah.
always vote for our
You
power
didn't.
structure."
So you're telling me you didn't grow up with your parents telling you that don't ever get too comfortable because whatever they give you is still theirs and they could just take it away. They never raised you being aware that you were brown and a woman and now I'm gay too. Like all those things, like all this stuff, it's like, okay, I was raised for this stuff to happen. I
Correct. I was
understand
born for
this stuff.
this.
So it's just
Y'all
like
bullying
I'm
me?
like you're like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? I'm not changing myself. I'm gonna be
No,
charming, funny, happy little me, but you're not, but we're not gonna be, you can't do the Cupid shuffle with my family.
no. But here's the thing. Also, okay. Here's one thing. Okay, you can be nice, and you can be amenable, and you can be cordial, and you can be polite, and you can be respectful. Okay, you
But you could
always
still
get
be
more.
real. But you could
Wait,
still
but
be real with
you
it.
can always get more flies with honey. But the problem is there are some flies who can't tell the difference between honey and shit.
Yes. Yes. But what I'm telling
And you
you
cannot. I'm
is
not gonna
that
be there for
no,
you to tell you the
I
difference.
understand. I understand. But what I'm telling you is the way they win is to take us out of our where we
Yeah,
exist and how we survive. So I'm not moving over here out of pettiness and hate. I'm moving out here out of love and light because I need to uplift things and not bring things down and not destroy things. I don't have to destroy them. I just have to build everything around me and they will become small and minimal and it will keep going. There's just everyone slowed down a little bit. Everyone got a little bit tired. We're not getting money the same way out here unless you're a doctor, a lawyer, and like whatever. The flows, those streams of income are all reliant on like a society. And so there's a moment where it's like people got a little bit, people started taking these little corporate jobs. People had to do stuff here and there and da 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 da. And like our distance from what brought this on is like everybody's little piece of a little bit further of I'm not going to get my own groceries. I'm just going to have that delivered and I'm going to be a faster, better cog. This is what the cog creates.
Mm-hmm. I'm
This is
not part
not
of the
what
cog.
nature
I've
has
never been
created.
part of the
No, I'm
cog.
not the. No,
I've
no,
always been
no,
Miscellaneous Brown. That's always been
no,
me. That's why the
no.
name of my first comedy special is
Right.
Miscellaneous Brown, because I've always been miscellaneous. I've always been
But I don't
disregarded.
want people. But I don't want people to move from a place that mimics what these people are moving like, because there is a sort of assimilation quality that immigrants have and things, and it's like, no, 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 no. This is not. This is not Gettysburg. We're not out here in the battlefield like this. Like, no, no. We're gonna do what we do and how we do in our communities, and keep making those things. Have everybody understand what's really happening when you're voting, and what really these things trickle down to, because there's a lot of those. There's a lot of points and stuff that people didn't really connect all those dots and understand what that meant, because they were too busy just being defensive
Yeah,
of what they
because
thought was
well,
a
because
representation of
and
themselves.
here's where the Democratic Party and Kamala Harris and Joe Biden and even in the way that they ran it in 2016 failed the Democratic
Yeah,
base,
yeah,
because in
yeah,
2016 they anointed Hillary. There's even
yeah,
evidence of how Hillary's campaign, basically in a lot of ways backstabbed Bernie through the primaries, right? When
yeah.
everybody clearly wanted Bernie, the
Right,
young, the
right.
new generation of Democrats that were inspired by Obama, that maybe didn't even vote for Obama, but they were young enough and still impressionable enough to believe in something on the Democratic Party side. And what did the Democratic Party do? They backstabbed Bernie, and now Bernie's now backstabbing them here in the end. They're talking about how bad they were and how they abandoned the workers part, the
And
workers,
how they failed.
and how they failed. Okay,
And also beyond that, this country's not ready to have a woman, clearly, because they
wrong.
didn't even
That's
show. They didn't
wrong,
even show up.
Charmaine. That's wrong, because every state that Kamala Harris campaigned in, all the seven, because you have to. Joe Biden's approval rating, okay, was 40%. When Barack Obama, okay, when Barack Obama ran for a second term, his approval rating was 51%. In the election, he got 51%. When George Bush was running for a re-election in 2004, his approval rating was 51%, and he got 51% of the vote. Joe Biden approval rating was 40% because of inflation and everyone's perception of what the economy was doing, especially personally for them, right? Everybody was pissed off
Mhm.
at Joe Biden. So what? But in every case, Kamala Harris raised that to 48% in every state that she campaigned. And she only had 100 days. So imagine if
Yeah,
Joe
100
Biden
days.
didn't run for
102?
re-election like he
No.
promised,
Oh, yeah,
like he
yeah, yeah, yeah,
promised.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Remember?
yeah.
He said,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm a one-term
Yeah,
president. I'm a stopgap.
yeah,
If he would have said
yeah.
that in 2022 and he said, you know what, guys, I,
Yeah, she would
I
have been
told you
able
I
to
was a
make
one-term
traction.
president and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
going to
yeah,
step
yeah, yeah.
down and I'm going to
For
have
sure. For
and let
sure. For
let the
sure.
Democratic Party have a primary and
Right.
let the
Right.
people
And let the party
choose
choose. Yeah,
let the
yeah.
party
Yeah, of
choose our
course.
champion
Yeah,
like they
yeah,
did with
yeah,
Obama.
yeah,
Guess
yeah,
what would have happened?
yeah,
We would have
yeah.
destroyed him. We
Yes.
would have
But
destroyed
I
him
wonder, if
with
she would have.
whoever won.
I wonder if she would have been. Yes, agreed. I wonder if she would have ever. What part of her was like, no.
No,
I know she
Kamala did
wanted it so
everything that
bad,
she
though.
could have done. She took on her duties
No,
as
not
vice
that. That's not
president
what I'm.
and
That's not.
I'm
That's
sorry,
no.
what were you
But
saying? What are you trying to say?
what I'm saying is like, you're throwing me in there. You're popping out. Like, obviously she wants it. This is huge. You're like,
Of course.
you're salivating. Of course you want it. But it's like, I wonder if anyone around her was like, wait a minute, let's think about what we're doing here. Because what if
They
Joe
looked at the
stayed? If
task in
Joe
front of
stayed,
them
do
and
you
they
think
said, let's
Joe
see how to get this
do you think
done.
no, of
They
course.
had
They
an
just
effective
charged it.
campaign, Charmaine.
They just went. Yeah.
They just were charged with an impossible task because it
Well,
wasn't they lost
100 days
ground in
isn't enough
places
to
where
do
they shouldn't
anything.
have lost
Yeah.
ground because
Well, because there
the
wasn't
people
enough
that they
time to
weren't speaking
campaign.
to. Think about
Right.
it. Think about it. If you're a
Yeah.
man, if
No,
you're a
agreed.
black man or a Latino man, and you're seeing Julia Roberts ads during the thing telling your wife to lie to you, that's fucked up. You're telling men, no, there's no place for you in this party anymore. That's fucked up. Yes, we want a woman to be president, but that's kind of fucked up to tell your wives
Well,
to
that's
lie to
part of
your
like the whole
husband.
thing. No, but it's like it's the campaign. You can't run a proper campaign in 3 months and like you're going for president
No, you
and
cannot.
you're off
And then to
and
rely
holding
on
office as vice president isn't even that interactive, to be honest. That they're just like you still have to set your own. You still have to set your own path. You still got to be able to tell them where you stand and all the things. And those states, you need to visit all the states. That's why people campaign for a year.
or you need to do the media. You can't be reliant on the media that was
No,
good
you
for
can't rely on them.
2008 or
No,
2016.
no,
You
no.
really, the media has changed.
Yeah,
What are we doing
yeah.
right now?
Yeah,
The media
yeah.
has
Because
changed.
everything that I saw on the news, nothing was pushing for him at all. And back in the old days, if they were like a little bit like that's all everybody saw was on TV. You don't got to go to TV. You don't got to go to MSNBC to do all that. You can actually people are talking amongst themselves in their own social circles and whoever comes and agrees with all that stuff.
And guess what? Here's the thing. People keep talking about how she should have gone on Joe Rogan. She should have done this. She should have. Why?
Yeah, she should have. She
She
should have.
because Joe Rogan has 17 million followers. He's got
Yeah,
more
and
followers than
if you
CNN.
and if you and the
You
majority
got a
of
bigger
them will not
audience.
like you. But what if you grab people from there and those people start having conversations in their circles and all these things? But she was very much they were playing it so safe. Like I was like, can you talk about the economy?
No, Charmaine,
Can you
they
talk
weren't
about
playing it
things a little
safe.
bit more
They were
specific?
playing it according to the Democratic playbook that was built for them the past 20 years since Obama became president. Because unfortunately, a lot of the
There's
political
also no time.
correctness.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, they didn't have any time. But a lot of the thing about the past 20 years, what do people most, even the most liberal comedians that you would think,
Yeah.
they're so pissed off at
Yeah.
political
Yeah.
correctness and they're
Yeah.
so pissed off
Yeah.
at how everybody has to watch what they say because they're going to get canceled or this or that. And
Yeah.
it's true. But
Yeah.
the problem is they built that as an imaginary thing, an imaginary consequence that doesn't really happen. Shane Gillis is still headlining everywhere, and his podcast has millions of followers, even though he was fired from SNL for saying bad stuff about Asians. He wasn't canceled. He's still a millionaire. What are you talking about? Dave Chappelle is never going to get canceled. He's going to say whatever the hell he wants to say. You know what I'm saying? All these
But also
things.
comedy is sort of like that's the point of comedy is to push
That's
buttons
the
and push
point.
lines. And
And
it's
if you
like, and
don't
if
get the
you
joke or you don't
understand,
like the joke, then
yeah,
don't
yeah, that's
watch.
fine. You know what I mean? That's fine. But that's what you're supposed to do. Because then otherwise no one else is sort of like pushing that line or that envelope. That's why it's like, oh, got a little theory, bring it up. I don't have to subscribe to the shit that I think about, but I think about everything. What my brain is just on a track that just like that's the track that I'm on. It's like, no, my brain is everywhere.
See, because
And that's why I'm saying, go ahead.
part of like Joe Rogan says that the comedians, the right wing comedians are the new punk rock, right? Part of it is because the establishment, the Obama the establishment,
Right. Right.
inclusive
Right.
environment that's politically correct, that it
Right.
makes sure that where
Right.
nobody's feelings are hurt and
Right.
nobody's offended by any jokes
Right.
is here. So now you got these right wing comedians who are saying, in a lot of ways, not even funny stuff, just hack old jokes.
No, because they feel like they can.
Because they
Because now
can.
they're using that. It's just like the Trojan horse. That's what they're hiding behind.
But
It's
they're
supposed to
saying
be
that
funny.
they're
You just
punk
don't get
rock
into
and they're edge and they're
no,
but they're
no,
not.
no. But that's what they do is they put labels on things. Labels have run the gamut of this whole thing of how people are accepting X, Y, and Z. Even if they're not, they put that label. And it doesn't matter that they're not because people don't remember or see anything beyond what the label is. So whatever label it is, that's what they follow. And it's like, but they're not punk. What are you talking about? Because really, the whole idea of punk is anarchy. And it's really the dissolution of the whole entire, it's the breakdown of everything. And then if you could break down everything and recreate everything, maybe you'll create it better until it gets to this point again, because eventually things all get fucked up. There's too much power and control, but no one wants any. Punk is like not a system.
No, but it also is anti-establishment, very much so.
Yeah,
right?
very much so.
And the problem is that the establishment, yeah, the
Yeah.
establishment that people perceive is their civilized society, and what people deem as acceptable towards civilized society is this political correctness, this patina of
Yes.
this fake,
Yes.
this mirage of political correctness, because
Right.
there's no consequences anyway towards any of this
Right.
stuff. The people who have money and power and influence still have money and power and influence. All the stuff that you're talking about canceling them for, they still got it, no matter what you do. It's
But
not,
then every
cancel
day,
culture isn't a thing.
but then every day, it's like I wasn't bullied too much, like growing up or anything, but I always like felt awkward and didn't fit in and stuff. But I had like a big family and everything, so I figured out my way socially, like it's cool. But I know kids where it's like, and I imagine if it was just a little bit safer for you, how would you have grown up and what kind of adult would you have been if you could just be like, oh, we knew Bobby was gay, everything, da da da. We didn't have to talk about it, but it was cool, and no one really like, But all of a sudden, you get older, and people pick on you, and there's like a thing, and it's just like there's a certain thing that political correctness brought, I think. And I'm not very political correct. I'm a gay woman of color,
No,
so I can say
I've
whatever the
never
fuck
been
I want.
politically
I don't
correct.
have
I
to.
do gay
But
characters. I do
but
all the bullshit.
I see at where they're trying to start creating these lines of respect, and that's what they thought that would do. But the line of respect is pay me.
Pay you. Acknowledge me as a human being.
You know
Understand that
what
I
I
have
mean? Like acknowledge that I have all the needs that you need, and
it.
I don't need, and I'm not going to do it on like a third or 2/3, 3/4 of whatever the fuck. Like that's not how it works. Like show me in other ways. Don't like, you know what I mean? Like I was look. I saw these
I
people in
don't care what you.
Minneapolis, and it was like, listen, and it was like all those George Floyd people and everything, and they were like, we want X, Y, and Z. They're like, they're not giving us that. They're giving us a statue. They're giving us a building. They're giving us a memorial. They're giving us this thing, and it's like, no, we need real things in our community. We're not accepting. We don't want that. We don't want this. What we need are resources. We need
Yeah,
funding. We need spaces. We
yeah.
need these things.
We need
So stop
programs that help
appeasing us.
people.
Yeah, like don't give me a fucking award. Don't do da 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 da. Like give me like because there's places they're like they're giving us like this block and da 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 or whatever these buildings, and she's like, but if we take it, then we don't get. So we're just not. And it's like no, don't take it. Don't accept those little things. That's not what it is. Don't be happy, but Filipinos like a little. Oh,
No,
thank you. It's like
but that's part of it. The Filipinos, they're fine with the little things, because again, unfortunately, we've
we're
been
grateful
colonized.
people.
We've been colonized for we only reached our independence from Spain
But I
in,
think
in the
I
past
think it's
century.
because but beyond that, I think it's because we have belief and faith and hope. And whether the Catholic Church came in or whatever, we all stayed Muslim or whatever it is, faith was ingrained and belief was ingrained in us. And that's why it's like my mom said, like, I'm like, Mom, you totally brought me to a witch, bro. Like that's like a lady from the earth that like heals and da da da. Like I didn't get x-rays at Kaiser, bro. You took me to the thing. So there's a certain kind of hope, belief, and faith that I think that people have in a way that sort of it comes from that. Does that make sense?
I think so. I think that there's a lot of factors, I think, that come to having a
That's why we were so easily colonized.
no, but that's basically it. Is well, but let people forget, man. I'm never gonna forget. I'll never forget the story of Lapu Lapu, because we were not so easily colonized. When the first motherfucker
Right,
came, we cut his fucking
right,
head off.
right, right. But we
Okay,
like spam and we started taking all the things.
listen, no, because corrupt politicians and rich motherfuckers who had
Yeah.
influence
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
did what they did
Yes.
in the same way that it's
Yes.
doing now.
Yes.
Corrupt
Yes.
motherfuckers and rich
Yes.
influencers do
Do you
are
know?
doing what they do to put who they
And
want in power.
no, and it sucks because in the Philippines, this is so real. I was in the Philippines. I'm having meetings with people, like some film people. Their parents used to be like whatever, whoever, president and all this stuff, like those kinds of kids. And they're like, what's your last name? I was like, my last name is Parcero. Where's your family from? My dad's from fucking Cavite. My mom's out here in Manila somewhere. Da, da, da. And they're like, oh. I was like, what? Well, how are you doing what you're doing? I was like, I went to college and I'm fucking me, bitch. I don't have to have your fucking last name. And it also seems like, what the fuck? Like I could do, like, we rise a little bit different where I came from. Like, what the fuck? What do you mean?
Remember, I told you, I don't know if I told you the story or if it was in my set at the Filipino Comedy Festival in San Francisco where we met, was where I was waiting on these two Filipinos and they swore up and down. There's like, no, there's no way. There is no way you're Filipino. There's no way. Where are your parents from? Huh? And I'm gonna go, they're both from Manila, and my mom is taga Sampaloc, and my dad.
Oh, that's where my dad's from.
Wait, and my dad is taga, and my dad is San Andres, and that's where they're from in Manila.
Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, really? And like I have to prove my Filipino-ness to people. That's why I call myself Miscellaneous Brown.
No, I don't think it's proving. I think it's a way of connection because they want to know, because those are the places where they came from and no one talks about it. No one shares it. We're not in history books here. When someone asks me that, it's just sort of like, for me, I feel proud because no one asked me that. No one asked me where my parents are from and know where my parents are from. So I look at it that way. It could be a whole totally different way, but for me, it's like, for me, that's what it is. And sometimes it's like, oh, well, maybe. Oh, that's a nice place. Oh, Palio Verde 1. Oh, that's really nice. Oh, da-da-da this, da-da that. It's like, yeah, bro, like, I don't understand. Like, that's not the thing. But for me here in the States, when someone asks that, for the same reason why they had festivals and Fiesta ng Imos and stuff like that, is so that they can somehow still remain connected in a way. And yes, there is a part of that that's that. But it's like being able to be like, oh, tiga Imos tayo, tiga Cavite tayo, tiga Pilipinas tayo. Like, saan kayo doon? Oh, we remember this. And it's like, oh, someone has the same base memory as you.
Yes.
And all this stuff is so foreign.
Memories.
Everything is so foreign. So when old people talk, and it's like, I love talking to old people because marunong ako mag-Tagalog, so we can totally like shoot the shit. And like, they love it and like it's cool. But it's not, I love that question. And I don't care that my dad had dirt floors that he kept hella clean, that my auntie was like, oh, don't show pictures of where this house is at because it looks kind of shady on. I was like, I don't give a fuck. Like, if this is where we came from, this is where we came from.
The answer for me. You understand? You know what I'm saying? I'm so American. I'm so American that I don't really know what I'm even answering when I say that.
Oh, wow.
I've been to these places once when I was 16. You know what I'm saying? So do I identify with these places a little bit? No. At all. So, none at all. I have none. There's no memory. There's no core memory there. All it is for me in my head is it's my street cred. It's my one thing in Tagalog that I can say with a good accent, and I can say correctly that I can say this is where my parents are from, and yes, I am Filipino, because my whole life, Charmaine, from growing up in Chicago, being like one of 3 Filipinos in the neighborhood, then moving here and still having to prove that I'm Filipino, even with the vast community of Filipinos.
Yo, that just blew my mind because that never I don't know how to say this right. I'm not a white person and I don't feel like I'm a white person, but in my Filipino-ness, I act like a white person. Does that make sense? Because I grew up in a community where everyone was Filipino. So there's a certain kind of like ethnic responsibility that I have that I never realized meant so much to have people and to like be my full self of how I was raised and how I am around people that don't understand, that don't really speak Tagalog, but understand because you got yelled at like that or whatever. That's how they fed you.
But no,
and
but
sort
see,
of like
that's
create
why
that sense of community with people, like, because it's not like, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, I'm Filipino. Like, that's a thing. What are you talking about?
No, but see,
I never checked off Asian. I never check off Asian in a box because I'm like, if it's not Filipino, I'm not being recognized. I'm not answering.
Right. And for me, I identified as Asian first because that's how they identified me. I'm Asian American.
Yeah.
Right. That was a big term in the 90s.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I qualified it as but wait, I'm specifically Filipino. I want y'all to make sure. And then
it's totally different. We don't even eat with sticks.
No, but I'm saying like, but what I'm saying is like, even when I was in grade school and I said Filipino, They
Yeah.
thought I said supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. They laughed
Yeah.
when I said that
Yeah.
shit. They didn't know
Yeah.
what the fuck
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a bit. We grew up very differently, and
So
for me,
different.
that's part of why
But I
my
love hearing about
Filipino-ness
how
is
you
lapu
grew up.
lapu. I'm not about
Yeah.
creating community. I'm about
Yeah.
protecting what's mine because I only
Yeah.
have a little bit of it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
But I understand
claim it hard.
that. I understand that because that's how I was raised, right? Because my parents weren't from here. And whatever they had, they definitely saved and everything was like built from that. And there's a scarcity mindset because you just left the Philippines. You know what I mean? It's like fucking martial law. Like there is not abundance of like whatever, maybe love or support or whatever if you had it like that. But so I understand that mindset. And part of that is like that's still sort of like, I'll never run out of toilet paper. I'll never like, there's just certain things where it's just like, I know I'll always
And
have a
now
certain thing.
you throw in the specifically Filipino American condition right now. We're the second most affluent immigrant culture next to Indians. We're rich. We're in the upper
You
middle class.
because we came here and we took government jobs because
Or
we don't
hospital
and like
jobs or whatever jobs we
yes,
could
but
get.
it doesn't. But whatever it was, you told somebody Filipinos follow directions well. I heard that. I heard one of my white teachers were like, you know what you guys are doing, and I was like, oh yeah, the fuck. I stopped following directions. This like you give them, they'll work, they'll show up, they'll do the thing, they'll save their money, da da da. Of course, because it's like we decided that we wanted to be that, and that was fine. I feel like my parents did that, and thank you because it afforded me a brain and like the ability to interact with people in a way with like confidence and like
It
a
made
little
them
bit
more
of book,
American.
but
If that they being the
it did.
model minority
It did.
made them more American because y'all know
It
your
did.
place. Okay, y'all got professional
Right.
jobs and
No,
y'all got good jobs
it
and you got
was
good suburban homes and your kids are in the
right.
school with the white folks and y'all
Yeah.
intermingling with the white folks and
But
you're all
that's
good.
exactly, but the Philippines has an instability where you could be rich as fuck. Like my uncle and I were talking about this because he was like, "What if I'm gonna move? I go, you're gonna move to the Philippines? You finna have a brownout every 2 or 3 days. It don't matter how rich you are." My uncle has like 2 different cars. Everybody has 2 cars because on odd days, even days, it doesn't matter. You will be there's something like if you're in New York City, even Jay-Z takes the subway. There's a certain thing where it's just like, yeah, but you still here in the States, they had a stability that their bank wasn't gonna collapse and my dad wasn't gonna lose his money. He can plan and prepare the way he is and all his 100% of I'm gonna create the stable because I never had it like that the same way. I'm gonna do this
Right.
and that's what makes me feel safe. And you could do that here. You can't do that in the Philippines.
Right.
Your shit will just be like, what are you gonna?
But now
It's
here,
still a
our
third.
generation, right? Because you got to
Yeah.
understand our generation, the youth, and younger than us, obviously because younger than me because I'm old as fuck. Generation X, even my generation, voted for Trump.
Mm.
Okay, and why?
Oh, did you see that demographic? That number? I was like, whoa.
Yeah,
That
the
was
punk,
crazy.
the grunge,
The real
rebel
punks. Those are the
generation,
real grunge.
the I don't
That's
give a
real
fuck
Nirvana.
generation.
Yeah, that's
60% to Trump.
That's
Why?
like that's like
Because they don't
Goldfinger, no
trust.
effects. That's real.
Because they're anti-establishment, right? They're
Yeah,
Joe
yeah.
Rogan.
They want to blow the whole thing up. Like, let's go. Let's push it. That's what I was saying earlier. It's like, because that's the mindset, like the whole thing of like when communism fell and then we were that generation of there was like some punk to that and like all these things. Like, I don't understand. There's something, but that's what I was saying. Like, what if he does? Because this system has always been busted and we've known it's
Let him
busted.
go. That's where
You know
I'm
what I
at
mean?
now.
And so it's just like
This is where I'm at for 20 years.
But
20 years, really
right.
for 20 years, Charmaine. Because I started canvassing and working for the Democratic Party and working towards progressive ideals and progressive movements, from marching when people lost their rights to get married to marching for abortion rights to marching for Black rights, Black Lives Matter, all the stuff. I'm as woke as a motherfucker will be. But the term woke, they demonized it because they'd rather you be asleep. They'd rather you be asleep and listening to them.
They have to create those labels and those quick keywords and stuff like that because people think like that because no one thinks go deeper than that. And what are we really trying to bust up? Because 4 years ago, or 8 years ago, whatever, when he was in there and everyone was like, this, da da da, it's just like, right, the system is broken, right? The system is still broken, and it's even more broken because he was allowed in. So what if we just, the only way that you can fix a corrupt system is like, but we're
No,
we are
you're right.
not
You're
of a
exactly
people.
right. Charmaine, you're
We're
on the
not.
right
But
on
let
the
me
right
listen.
track.
Let me. No, I know. I've been thinking this way since I'm 14. If you knew my dad, you would understand. Like this thing is like. But to implode that, we don't have the foresight. I will never see it. Your kids will never see it. But their kids will have a more utopian society if we can, because we get to build now, because we are part of the
Yes.
structure, because our voices will now be instilled in the structure instead of being like, oh, well, there's slaves buried here where you got your PhD and there's slaves buried there. Oh, and as a matter of fact, oh shit, like there was like a whole community of Filipinos, but we just like, there's water there now. We don't have any of that, but we're still here. So if we get to stay in all these things, then we get to create this system that we understand will be fair for us. And I didn't vote. I didn't vote not because I didn't want to vote, but my registration was just like California here. I don't know. It was like a big mess and I got tired of trying to figure it out. And I didn't, and I couldn't vote. I actually wanted to vote in Florida where my friends were living and tried to do something, but I was like, I can't. So I can't really complain about what's going on because I didn't do a thing. But I understand if there's like, it's like political science 101. It's so fucking exciting right now because now everyone's going to sort of like, okay, we were pushing and pulling like this. This is what they wanted. That's the two part. Now we're all the way out here. Like, what? So much can happen and so much can come in. Like, it's going to be it's, I'm not going to see it. Your kids aren't going to see it. But in like 2 generations from now,
We will. I'm gonna say this is the same, and maybe not
we
the
might see
same.
the end of it. I think it'll take like 40 years. We might see the end of it.
Yeah,
I think it'll be
just
about
in the
40
same
years to do
way.
it because you have to go back and forth because every 4 years it's got to be 10 elections, right? Within 10 elections, we'll get it back. They'll get it back. There'll be a little bit of thing. But all those people that are now running and all those politicians, I mean, I don't know about these kids though. They're not having sex. I
No,
think that might be
see,
a little bit kind of
here's
weird.
what I'm gonna say about the future, Charmaine, because this is where we got to end it. Because I got to actually got to go to work and start saving money for this Trump recession that's gonna come in. Okay, you are right on it. You're right on track with all of this. Okay, because we're in the same space that we were in 2004. I felt that the whole country disagreed with me, and I thought I was logically right in everything that I was saying. And I still do feel I believe everything that I believed in 2004 in how I felt, the way that the society was, right? And it's the same now. The same move to the right. Okay?
Yeah.
But I also understand and know these people that I've been studying for a long time. The right is the same. And in fact, it's been exacerbated to the point where the most ridiculous figures on the right are now their leaders, right? Trump is the most ridiculous version or most algorithmic created version of a conservative fascist dictator for America. Okay? But I thought that of George W. Bush. I thought that of Ronald Reagan. I thought that of all these people who were trying to tell me how to think and what to do and how to be. That's always them. That's how they've been. But what the brilliant thing that Trump did, or what MAGA or whatever the fuck they did, was they harnessed the anger. And what we have to do is figure out how to find the love again. I know it
Yes.
sounds hokey, it sounds
100%.
hippie,
No,
it
but
sounds
that's what it is. But that's
bullshit,
what it is.
but that's what it is. That's
That's what
all
it is.
for the future. We have to build our community back
That's what
up.
it
You have
is.
to, like you said, you're from your family, from the ground up. You got to build it back up.
Right.
And that's just
So
from
you
our
got to talk to
community.
your tita or tito that out here, like whatever.
Mm,
Sometimes you got
I
to
don't know if
have
that's
those
necessarily the
conversations.
case,
I don't think that's going to happen.
or we build alliances like you and I, and like the
Yeah.
people that I'm building out
Yeah.
here, where we have small
Yeah.
comedy shows and people who
Yeah.
come together to just laugh and enjoy
Yeah.
life and enjoy
Yeah.
cannabis and enjoy the things that
Yeah.
we still have, the freedoms that we have while we still have them, and then
Yeah.
build from there. and then and build a community that you can trust, build a community. And that's what I'm trying to do here. That's why I'm still here. That's why we're still here. That's why I closed the election with you, and I want to open up this new era, this new thing that we're talking about, this new era of what we have to build for our community, for ourselves here with you, because we got big plans for next year. And I don't really think that a lot of, like, where's the wall? He promised the wall. Where's the wall? Right.
But that's why. But that's why all the people.
That he said,
but that's why all the people on the right also feel the same way. It's like, okay, he's saying those things, but he's just full of nonsense. Like, I've heard Filipino aunties like, "Oh, baliwala yan." That's just like da da da. And they also come from countries where people are like, their politicians are a lot worse. So this is like,
right? Exactly, because they haven't felt it. They haven't fucked around and found out, but they just did.
No,
they just did. They fucked around and found out. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to wait until y'all fucking find out that tariffs are going to raise inflation worse than you ever thought Biden's inflation was going to be. And Elon Musk and RFK Jr. in charge of infrastructure and health,
right?
Y'all going to fuck around and find out that Elon Musk,
all those drugs,
South African
all those things,
immigrant from apartheid, and he was a rich
apartheid white,
apartheid white, and now he's trying to bring an American apartheid with his Tesla and all that shit. And remember, he didn't do any of that SpaceX or Tesla or anything. He's just like Trump. He just inherited a lot of rich South African apartheid money and brought it here to America and invested in a bunch of good stocks. That's all he did. He's no genius. In fact, he's a South African immigrant, apartheid immigrant. He is a refugee of South African apartheid. He's a refugee. He's a political refugee because he wanted to escape Nelson Mandela. So that's what that's who you're talking about, and that's who you're dealing with when you're dealing with Elon Musk. So go ahead, fuck around and find out and see if you're gonna be invited to the party.
Yo, that's also your meds are gonna be worse. Your food is gonna be like, there's gonna be like 4 years. Hopefully the four. I mean, like, Biden do something right now to put more things in place.
$5 diabetes, insulin medicine. Let's see what happens when they repeal Obamacare.
You better stop eating that sugar right now.
When they can kick you off for pre-existing conditions and you don't have any insurance, and now you owe the hospital every time you go to the hospital. Let's see what happens then when they do that. Y'all are gonna fuck around and find out, and then we're gonna be here building our small communities and building a movement that will hopefully be able to fix all the bullshit that they did again, like they did in 2004, and like they did in 2008. And like they did all the times that these Republicans have fucked up and destroyed this country, just like the way Reagan did, and all that. We're still feeling the effects of Reagan and all the bullshit that Republican selfish asshole did. So guess what? Y'all wanted Trump. Y'all wanted to make America great again. Well, guess what? Y'all are going to fuck around and find out how America is going to go back to the way it was when it was really, really shitty for people like us. And you're going to find out. And then in 2 years, you'll see what happens. If there isn't even an election, because we just elected a dictator that had an insurrection the last time.
I think what'll happen is, like, there'll be midterms. People will start paying attention to their local politics, to the regional and state politics, because they realize that if they don't have the federal government, if people even understand how this country is run, which is why I have to figure out my registration, which is why I got to get my voter registration.
No, but Charmaine,
because you got to vote for the midterms, and because it's like, look, the federal government says no, you can't have an abortion. The state says yes, you can. What state do you live on? Boom, you're good.
Well, but listen, Charmaine, here's the thing. Okay,
you can't fly and have an abortion.
Here's the thing, Charmaine. Yes, all those things. Yes, you got to figure out your registration, but that's part of it. They make it harder to vote, and they're gonna make it harder to vote.
No, they've always made it harder to vote.
That's what authoritarians do. They make
that's what gerrymandering is.
or they rigged the election, like
Yeah.
gerrymandering, right?
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have to be even more vigilant than we were before. So if you're not
Yes.
involved, guess
I
what?
think we have to start pushing for mail-in votes. Hawaii did that a lot, and they only had 2 polling places during this election, which is why the lines there were so long, was because people really couldn't get off work and do that. And some people don't maneuver through the island that way to vote. And
And
so they
people
did
don't
mail-in,
follow
and people
politics.
started to do the thing. And it's like, no.
People follow politics the way they follow sports, the way they follow every other part of culture in their lives. It's another show that they watch. It's another TV show. And if they're not that interested, they're not that interested. And then and if they have but they still have the power to make a decision, they're still going to, how are they going to make their decision personally and how it affects them? Selfishly on how it affects them. I vote selfishly myself. I just vote selfishly on my morals. I vote selfishly on what I believe in. I vote selfishly on what historically I understand about our society and our government. So that's how I vote. And I'm always going to vote that way. And now, guess what? I got a platform. Maybe we only get 20 views on this video. Maybe we only get 50 views. Maybe we only get 3. I don't give a fuck. Because guess what? What has to happen is people like us have to keep talking about this shit. We have to keep telling people about this shit. Because Joe Rogan, he's got 17 million people followers listening to him and letting him politically suggest whatever the hell he wants them to suggest. So guess what? If I got to just build this up
Yeah.
and build it from the
Yeah.
ground up, then that's what we
Yeah.
got to do.
No,
So
I
if you
think it
like,
needs to be natural that people will talk about, like, okay, but do you understand what that is? Because I don't have conversations about politics with people, but when I do, I'm just like, okay, let's establish your level of knowledge.
because I
Because I
bet
might not
you,
read, I might not have read the news all the every single day. I'll listen, but I also was a political science major, so I understand the basis of where everything's coming from and how it's going to happen, because it's a system. And I'm also a sociology major, and I understand how people work. So I don't have to. So what are we talking about? Because if your ideas and feelings are based on that and you don't understand that, well,
but we got to
your
wrap it up because I got
prescriptions
to
are
go
going
to
to go.
work.
Go, 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 go,
So,
go. We can end
Charmaine,
it,
I'm
but
going to
we
tell
can
you,
end
I'm
it.
going to say this. I promise for myself, okay, for everybody who's feeling scared, who's not, and if you guys are still here listening and watching now, then yeah, you've found something where maybe we can create a dialogue. If even if you voted for Trump and you're still here listening, let's talk. Tell me why you did it, because I don't understand it, not even a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
I want to know where I want him to know where you guys are coming from. Don't hit me up with that stuff. We
but
can talk about
no,
it.
I'm going to be here online at Miscellaneous and Brown. My name is Eric Esteban. That is Charmaine Persero. And we'll be back next week. Or maybe I'll be back sooner than that with some other folks, because I do want to leave you guys with some hope. Okay. I'm going to sign off after this. Understand that Isabel Jurado is the first Filipina to be elected to the LA City Council. Understand that Jessica Coloza was the first Filipina elected to the California State Assembly. Cesar Cabalden is also elected to the State Assembly. Stephen Raga was reelected in New York. Filipinos all over the country are running and winning in office. Those are just the names I can think of off the top of my head. Rob Bunta, the Attorney General, was one of the first Attorney General of California. Filipino American, was one of the first when Trump was elected to say, "Don't come after my state. I'm going to protect the residents of my state with all the laws that I have behind me and keep law and order in my state." Rob Bunta was one of the first that I saw after the election to show. So look for your leaders. Look for the people that are going to help lead us through this dark time, because y'all going to feel it. Y'all are going to fuck
Also, you
around and
guys might
find
be
out.
raising those leaders right now. Y'all are raising those leaders right now.
You don't
Y'all
know.
are. I'm not. Y'all are.
We didn't know who was going to lead the Democratic Party in 2004. The same when I felt this way the last time, when I thought the whole world disagrees with what I'm thinking, right? And 2 years later, we met, or 4 years later, we met Barack Obama. Oh, actually, in 2004, we met Barack Obama at the Democratic National Convention. He's had a speech, and 4 years later, Barack Obama was elected president. So things can change really fast in this country. You just gotta work, you gotta believe, and you gotta listen to Miscellaneous and Brown, because we right here, and we're gonna be here I'm gonna be here. I ain't going away. To all y'all motherfuckers who told me I'm not Filipino on Jubilee Media, guess what, bitch? I'm right here. I'm right here and I ain't going nowhere. Bye-bye. Watch Miscellaneous Brown, my special. Watch Charmaine. Watch all of us. Support us on Instagram. Support us on, share this video. And guess what? We're going to be back next week with
Fun to
another
be back.
episode of Miscellaneous and Brown. We ain't
Thank
going
you.
nowhere.